Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Come join us for some painting fun. Hello, hello. Come join us for some clay pot painting fun. Hello, welcome. If you're just joining, make sure you say hello. Just type in the comments. Hello, everyone. Let me see if I can. Get the. Hello, welcome. Hi, Mom. Glad you could join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started here shortly. Just giving time for our friends to join us. Trying to figure out how all of this works and how to get it up on my iPad.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. Now it is. There we go. We got it working now. Hello, everyone. Hello. Gotta turn the volume down though. That would be best. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll give it a minute or two for other friends to join. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. If you could do me a favor and share this out, I would greatly appreciate it. Yes, you do. You sure do. And it might be just you and Greg today. If you're just joining, just pop on, say hello. Welcome, welcome. We'll give it another minute or so.
Hey, so what's going on in Wolfenbüttel?
Yeah. So, welcome, welcome. Let me share this out to a few people. All right. Well, we are just going to get started. So, welcome everyone. Please let me know you're here. Say hello. I am happy that you could join us today. So, this is my second Facebook Live. So, very excited about that. Lots of great things in store for today. Couple of housekeeping items. First, I want to welcome everyone to Uncommon Necessities. I have a brick and mortar store here in the Town Square Mall in Port Orchard. One of the other things is that if you don't see that red live button, I think it's on the left, then you are watching a replay. And if you're watching the replay, great. Let me know you're watching it by typing hashtag replay. If there's any questions during the live that I don't get to, I will go back and watch again and try to answer any of those questions for you. I am so excited about today. Today is a great day down here in the Town Square Mall. We have casino night going on. So this is a charitable event that is happening down here in Town Square Mall. We will have from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. We have businesses open during that time and shops and lots of great things happening from 6 to 11. But until 6, we are open down here at the Town Square Mall. So come down and visit us if you can. We have record shop down here. We have a Mexican snack shop. We have a great bookstore, a Pour Expression, Dana Pour Expression. So yeah, lots of great shops down here. So come down and visit us. Would love to see you. But some of the other things, we've got some great new products in the store today. So those are out and all sorts of fun things. So I hope everyone's having a great Saturday so far. At least the weather is holding for now, so that's good. Yeah. All right. To get started, what we're doing today is we're painting clay pots. And so there's two different things we'll be doing to clay pots today. One, I will be showing you how to paint and blend your paint on a clay pot. That'll give you more depth in the pot. And then the second one is we're going to do a clay mold. So we'll do one with the transfer on it after we paint it, and then we'll do one with a clay mold on it, and we'll paint that. So some of the things to get us started is I have a clay pot. One of the other things you're going to want is a misting bottle with water. This works great with the Dixie Belle paint, and I am a Dixie Belle retailer, so we carry the full chalk paint line in Dixie Belle down here at our brick and mortar store, and it works really great because it's water based, and so this helps you with blending, being able to use the fine mist water on it. And a couple of different paint brushes. So I have a paintbrush for each of my colors. We carry these brushes in our shop. So there's a round large one, a flat medium, a flat small, and these are the synthetic brushes. And then we have a natural bristle brush, which this is literally the Best Dang brush, and that's what it's called. It's actually called the Best Dang brush. So this is one of our natural bristle brushes, and so this is our brush we'll use for blending, and it's excellent for that. The other thing I have is our mini Dixie Belle mini brush. It's another synthetic brush, and I'll use this for our coat to seal the pot to become water resistant. So we'll use that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. As friends join in, please say hi and let me know that you're here. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna first thing actually we're gonna do is take the lids off our paint. So the paint I have, we're gonna do kind of a gray blend. And I'm gonna use Hurricane Gray, which is kind of a gray browny color. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to use that as our dark. So for blending, you really want to have at least one dark and one light. I opted today to have a dark, a light, and a white, so I can get even more depth. The next, the light of that family color I'm going to use is Manatee Gray. And this is just a really light gray color. So that'll be great for our light. And then I have Fluff, which is a white that's just a little bit duller than a bright white. So hopefully you can see that. And if you see me looking down, I got the iPad to finally work. So we're now high tech. Okay. So we have our three colors and we have 3 brushes for each of those colors. So that's great. And then we have our best dang brush. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to start out misting the very beginning of where I'm going to work on my pot. Now, with clay pots, there's a couple of different ways you can seal these pots. The first way is you can seal the pot inside and out with a outdoor sealant. My understanding from my new friend Kay is that there's actually a pot sealer spray that you can get, or you can just use a, like I have a brush on for the pot. I typically do the sealer on the inside after I've completed my painting on the outside, and then once I'm all done with the pot, I will seal the outside with the same outdoor protective sealer. So you can do it however you like. You can seal it on the outside before you paint, or you can seal it after you paint. That really the most important piece is to seal the inside of the pot for sure. Otherwise, because your paints are water-based, once you put a real plant in it, the paint chalk or the chalk paint will tend to run. So if you're going to use it just for artificial, you don't need to worry about sealing the inside. But if you do want to put a plant in it that's living, you do need to make sure you've sealed the inside to keep that water from going through. The next thing I do is I actually wet my brush and get it good and wet. You want it good and damp. Now we've got our pot damp and the brush damp. And you just want just a little bit of paint, if you can see that. Just a little bit of paint on your brush. You don't need a whole lot. And you kind of just want to start brushing it on however you want it to be on your pot. Now, there is no rhyme or reason to this. It is a matter of how you like it to look. So, typically what I do is I just start with a patch of paint like that. Brush it on real good there. Okay, now I've got my first dark on. Even if this was to dry on here, say as I'm working to get my next color, we will mist it and bring it back to be able to move it. That's the great thing about these paints, is that you're able to move it once you add water to it. So that's what's going to allow us to blend our colors. So now we have our dark. Let's move on to our light. I'm going to mist my brush. Make sure my pot is misted and not hitting my iPad as I'm misting. That would be bad. So you see how it's even running a little bit? That's perfectly fine. No issues. So I want just a little bit of paint. Oh, and I should tell you, this pot here is a 6-inch pot. So now all we're doing is kind of the same thing, and we're just putting the paint where you would like to maybe have a little bit of a lighter color. Okay, so you see how I've got 2 colors on there now. We're going to take our best dang brush here, mist the top of it, kind of just tap it a little bit. And now we're going to start blending these colors. And so when you start blending these colors, really what you want to do is you want to start from the outside of the lighter color and kind of work it in towards the darker color. And then just go around the outside edge of that lighter color. And if you notice, the paint is kind of coming up a little bit, and that's okay, because we can always add more paint. But really what we want to do is to get this moving and to start blending it in with that darker color. And this big brush helps you really do that blending piece. And so if you find that it gets a little too dry, maybe in an area, you just take your bottle of water and you spritz it, and then you can start moving that paint again. Now the reason for the dark and the light is to create those highs and lows. Hi, Miss Kay. I'm so glad you could join us. And I know you've done lots and lots of pots, so please feel free to chime in with any tips or tricks you have on doing pots. So, I'm so glad you're here. Where we're at right now is we've just started putting on some paint and started to blend a little bit. I'm going to go in and add a little bit more water to my pot. And then just a little tiny bit of paint is all I need on my brush. And I'm going to add it right on here. Now you see how you're already starting to get depth in the pot? You've got dark, you've got light, and you've got the transition between the two. Sprinkle a little bit more water on my brush, and then start working from the outside of the color. I hope you all can see what I'm doing. It's kind of strange doing it kind of backwards a little bit, but we'll get it. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of white down in this area. So I'm just going to put just a touch of water there. I'm going to get my white brush, touch of water on that. And I am just going to put literally just a dab of white down here. Now I'm going to take my brush, my big brush, and just start blending this all in. So as you can see, as you're blending from the outside in, and what that does, it allows you to have that inner part stay bright. or stay darker, whichever color you're using. Now, when I mentioned that you could seal the outside of your pot before you do it, the reason I don't do that is because, I don't know if you can see this, but hopefully you can. You see how some of the terracotta is showing through? I like to have some of that showing through so you can see that. So it's not just a solid colored area. But you can really start to see the light and the dark and the depth coming. So we'll just continue to kind of keep working through this, adding colors as we go along. So now maybe I want to add a little dark. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday. Let's put a little bit of water on here. I'm telling you, this is the great thing about Dixie Belle, is that you can re-wet the paint as you're working and be able to move it around. Again, just a touch of paint, not much. And I am just putting it right on the pot where I want that dark area to be. And then I go back in with my blending brush. Thanks, Kay. Back in with my blending brush, and I am just working from the outside again. Just keep working from the outside. And as you work, as you keep working and working, so I need a little bit more. I want a little bit more of that darker color right here. Oops. Let me get a little touch back on my brush again. Another little touch. And get another little touch there. Okay. Again, back in with my big brush again. Outside. Working out from the center. And it gets a little trickier when you do the bigger pots because they're much heavier. Much heavier. And so trying to hold the pot and blend is a little challenging. But they come out beautiful. So I want to blend this in a little bit more. So I'm going to put a little bit more water on my brush, my big brush. Because the idea of blending is that you don't necessarily want to see the brush strokes of the two colors. And so you just really want to kind of keep working until you get it the way you like it. And so I'm going to come down here now and brush this out a little bit more. And this paint, this pot is really being kind of persnickety today. All right. So I'm going to go down here and add a little bit more dark. Anybody doing anything fun for this weekend? We've got a lot of great things happening down here at the mall today. Today is casino night, and from 6 to 11 they're having a charitable event, the Rotary Club, and so they'll be down here for casino night. All of the businesses for the most part will be open. I will be open from 6 to 11, so if you want something to do tonight, come by and say hi. So lots of great things. You might be able to hear my next door neighbor, which is, he's a vinyl record store and sells albums. And so lots of great things happening down here. All right. Let's see where we're at. Let's just keep going around our pot here. So let's add a little bit of light now here in this area because we've gotten kind of dark. So let me spritz it a little bit. And with it running like that, it's not a big deal. I promise. It'll all work out good. So we're going to add just a little bit of light here. And you just brush it right on the pot. Now you take your big brush again and you blend from the outside. This is a lot of fun because you don't have to be exact with this. And they, you know, they look great. So you don't have to be exact. You don't have to be a master painter. It's all just a matter of light, dark, and blending from the outside. That's all it is. Super easy. Super easy. Oh, you did? Yeah, we have lots of great things happening down here today. And, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is the second Saturday of every month, our the fellow shop owners down here and I are going to be offering some kind of event at their shop. So they'll have something going on every second Saturday of every month. So next Saturday, we might, I might be doing a live demo out in the mall of some of the products. So yeah, certainly come down and check us out. We'll have things going on. Each of the store owners down here will have something planned, and that's something we're just starting. So we would love to see you down here. Come visit us for that. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. Just takes a little bit of work and some elbow grease. That's what this is. A little bit of work and some elbow grease. Oh, wrong brush. All right. Again, just, you don't need much paint when you are doing blending. And so, big brush, blend it out, outside, from the outside again. And then any spot that gets kind of maybe ran with water or something like that, you can just keep going over it, adding more paint until you like it. Let's add a little white. Let's add a little white right up here. Kind of reminds me of a happy little tree. Let's add a happy little cloud right up here. So just randomly brushing on colors as you like it. I'm going to spritz my little blending brush again, working from the outside again. Yeah, so they're going to be, and there's a new business opening up down here too. It's called the Crossroads. So that'll be open tonight, I think. It might be open tonight. So you see how the pot, you see how you can see some of that terracotta through there? I just think that looks really cool. I want a little bit more blending on that though. So we'll just wet our brush again and we'll just go back in with a little bit of moist brush and we will just blend that right on out. So you can leave it as dark or as light as you want it. It's really up to you. Where did I learn to do all this stuff? Well, trial and error is probably the main way. So just developing kind of what you like. Now, I have watched and quite a few Dixie Belle paint tutorials, and so those are really helpful. But it's a matter of when you learn how to do it, you have to kind of just play with it and practice it, and then you can develop how it works for you. That's a great question. I guess it's kind of like art. It's a lot of, I mean, well, it is art. So it's playing around with the paints, playing around with the different tools, and seeing all the things you can create and using different things. So, okay, so you see on here how I have light and then I add a little bit more dark. So I just go in with my blending brush again and I just blend that out to where I want it. And so just practice playing with the items. Yeah. That's a great question. All right. So if you notice here, let's work on that a little bit. Let's add a little white to the top. Now don't forget, we're going to put a transfer on this pot, and then and then we have our clay mold one we're going to do. Or actually, we're going to put a clay mold on this one. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And so we're going to put a sunflower mold on here. So I put a little lighter gray there. Let me blend that out. I hope you can all see this. I know it's kind of, I apologize if I've got this kind of all turned towards me. Sorry. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, you could do the same exact painting on something or the same exact technique on something, and it could come out completely different each time. And so it's just really, you're right, Kay, it's just a matter of playing around with things, trying out all the different stuff. And I think I just used my white paintbrush for gray, but that's okay, we'll just wipe it off. Alright, let me put in a little bit of gray here at the top, lighter gray, and then we'll probably come back with a little bit of white to kind of give it even more depth. A little bit more water on your brush. You see how nicely it just thins the paint out and allows you to be able to move it around wherever you want it. So you can put that paint anywhere on here pretty easily. Alright, let's see. Let's see what we got here. So over here, I think I want to add a little bit more white over here. Actual white this time, not messing up my gray, my paintbrush again. Just a little tiny dab. I'm just putting a little bit on here or there. You see, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of what you like. And what this does is it creates those highlights and those lowlights, so it gives the pot depth and gives it dimension versus it just being a flat clay pot. And I mean, you can do this with any pot. So all right. So I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty good. So I'll let you look at it there. I think I might want a little bit of white over on this one side. You'll see it coming around. It's kind of dark down in here. So So let's put a little touch of white there, give it a little bit more dimension. Again, just a touch. As you saw, I had much on my brush last time and it was really white. So literally just a little bit. Now we're just going to take our brush, blend it outside. And 'tis the season for clay pots, right? Springtime, getting close to summertime. I think we're going to have a summer this year. Do y'all think we're going to have a summer this year? Not sure. Not sure. Okay. Okay. So you see how that gave it a little bit more dimension there? What do you guys think? Did it come out pretty good? I think it did. And like I said, I kind of like it with the terracotta kind of showing through in places, but you don't have to do it that way. When we're going to have summer? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't even know if we're going to have summer. Now, we're going to seal the inside of this pot now. And there is another thing you can do to the inside of this pot, and I don't have it here with me. But you can do a whitewash on the inside of your pot. So if you plan on just having, a couple of items like maybe just sitting in it, and you might see the inside of your pot, you could just do a really thin whitewash on it, and that would give you a finished look on the inside. But for today, we're just going to go ahead now and seal the pot on the inside. And yeah, we're doing clay. Okay, so this one's going to get clay. And I have another one here already done as well, and we're going to seal the inside of this one and the outside, because we're going to put a transfer on that one. So, like I mentioned earlier, I think Kay, you mentioned that there is a pot sealer you can get at your local hardware store. So that was a great tip. Thank you, Kay. I am currently using a outdoor sealer that's a brush on, but you can use either, whichever is more convenient for you. And so I'm using one of our Dixie Belle mini brushes. This is just a great synthetic brush for all things. It's easy to handle. It's got a shorter neck on it. It's really great. So let me go ahead and seal the inside of these two pots. And all you're doing is putting that layer of sealer. Now the reason for the sealer is to keep the moisture, because clay pots, they tend to, moisture goes right through them. So the entire pot becomes wet. So if you put a plant in here and you water it, that moisture goes all the way through to the outside. And so since Dixie Belle is water-based and chalk paint, we want to make sure that we seal the inside to keep it from running the chalk paint on the outside. Now, if you're just going to use it for inside for decoration purposes that's not having a living plant in it, you can put you don't have to put anything on the inside, but you can put just a regular top coat if you want. So that way you don't have to worry about going through all of these steps. So if you remember from last week when we talked about putting a transfer on an item, you want to make sure that you have a top coat on it for the transfer to adhere to easier. Now, you can put transfers on items that don't have a top coat, but it's going to be more difficult to transfer onto that project. The top coat makes it much easier for the transfer to come off onto your project. Now, the only time you wouldn't put a sealer on for a transfer is on a mirror or a window or glass. But for all other things, wood, plastic, clay pots, you really need to have that on. So I'm just going to give this one a quick inside seal. And all I'm doing is just literally just brushing the inside, making sure they get way down here in the bottom where that edge is, I guess you call it, and around this lip. So just make sure you get it good and covered. Now, you can paint the pot with the sealer before you paint the outside. So you can put sealer on the outside before you put your paint on. You can do it that way too. I just like the clay pot coming through when I blend the paint. And so that's part of the reason I don't do it that way. But it's whatever your preference is. Okay, so now I've got a sealant in this one and on the bottom. Okay. All right, let's put our brush away for there. Okay. Now, let me cover up my paints real quick so we don't have a mess. Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to read comments here. I'm just learning. Oh, yeah, that's great. So you do the extra seal on it. So that's really making sure it's good and sealed. Because we don't need any runny chalk paint. I don't think that would be very pretty. All right. So I'm going to carefully kind of move this one to the side and let it dry a little bit. Okay, so I had already painted, so this is the one I've painted. We're going to do a clay mold, and I'm going to show you how to attach that. So, the things that you need for molds is cornstarch, just any old cornstarch, and then let me put my brushes in the water here so I can get them out of the way. Cornstarch. Now, Iron Orchid Design has these great silicone molds. You can use them for resin, you can use them for clay, you can also use them for, they're food safe as well. So we're going to do this sunflower right here. So I'm going to use Iron Orchid Design clay, and it's an air dry clay. And you've done that, Kay? Where you've had your chalk paint running down the side of your pot? Oh my goodness. Well, you know, that's part of the experiment thing, right? So you got to experiment and learn and do and all that as you go. That's how you learn what not to do the next time. At least for me it is. Oops, I tried it. Didn't work. Do something different. Alright, all I use is a old paintbrush. I just dab it in my cornstarch. Brush it into my mold. Doesn't have to be pretty or fancy. You just want to get it good and cornstarched. Now, like I mentioned, I use Iron Orchid Design air dry clay. You can use any kind of clay in these molds. They are silicone. The thing about the air dry clay is you always want to make sure you've got it sealed really well once you've opened it. So I usually double bag mine. Some put them in containers, but you just want to make sure you keep the air from getting to it. All right. So now I've got it good and cornstarched. I'm going to tap that out so we don't have all that extra there. All right, let me put that aside. And air dry clay is really soft, and so it's pretty easy to work with. It's not as firm as some of the other clays are. Now this is a pretty big mold, so it's going to take quite a bit of clay. Yes, you can use the molds for chocolates and other food things. So one of the things that my families might be getting for Christmas is some fancy chocolates made from these molds. It will make you look like a master chocolatier. You just melt your chocolate and pour it into the mold, and the next thing you know, you've got beautiful chocolate pieces. So yes, you can. I've seen others use it for fondant, for cookies, or for cakes. They'll mold them, and those are the things that they'll put in put on to decorate either the cookie or the cake. So, yeah. All right. Now I've got it kind of softened all up. Now all I'm doing is pushing it down into my mold, and always start. I should say I typically start from the center and go out to spread it out into all these nooks and crannies we have here, and you just keep working it, Now if you find that your center's high, all you do is just go back and make sure you pull it out to the edges. The nice thing about the Iron Orchid Design molds, and I'll show you here in just a second, is there's a little bit of a lip on the edge of the piece. And so as you're removing the excess clay, it allows you to be able to get a good edge on it, on your piece that you're trying to mold. And so you get a nice, sharp, clean image of your piece. Let me see if I can show you that lip. So if you see right here, right down here, you'll see there's a lip on these molds. And that's the piece that's going to help you get that clay right off pretty easy. So there's all sorts of ways you can get the clay off your mold. Is you can use a scraper tool, a credit card, some people use. I tend to just use my thumb, and if it's a big piece like this, I'll kind of hold the piece down, and I'll just start pushing it towards the edge. Just push it towards the edge, and then that lip pulls that clay right off. So we'll just keep working around the edge of the mold. And like I said, if you've got a lot in the middle, you just kind of gently move it to the outside. Now, because we're going to glue this on a pot, we don't have to make sure that the back is super flat and even. We want it even as much as possible because we want it to sit nicely against the pot. But it doesn't have to be perfectly flat because no one's going to see the back of this mold. But if you were going to have a piece that you're going to have with the back showing, you want to make sure you get it good and flat. Okay, almost done here. Okay, so typically what I do after I pull the clay off, I immediately put it back into my baggie and put it back into my plastic bags. Now I use 2 plastic bags. When the clay goes in and pull out all the air, I want to make sure there's no air left in that. And then the second one is just because I want to make sure in case there's a hole in this one, it's in another protective bag. Okay. All right. So, when you take your molds, your clay out of your molds, you're going to want to lay it down flat on the table, and I'll show you that. So typically, the next thing I will do is I will kind of just lightly rub over the top of my mold. And that's just to kind of make sure that I've got any rough spots or big lumps kind of worked out so I can lay it down on my project. And it'll lay nice and flat, hopefully. And if you find if you have any little low spots, you can fix those too. So, all right, that looks pretty good. All right, now when you want to take your mold, your clay piece out, flip it over. Actually, let me flip it this way. And what we're going to do is we're going to let the mold, we're going to release it from the mold, and we're going to let the mold do the work. So I don't know if you can see this. And you might have to help it a little bit. And so you just kind of help gently take it out of the mold. So you just roll the mold back. And having that cornstarch allows it to come out of the mold easily. So it's not getting stuck. Now the reason for doing it that way is because if you try to pull the mold out this way, what you'll do is you'll end up stretching that clay. And so you'll end up with a distorted mold. So if you just release it by putting it down and rolling the mold back and letting it release, you'll come out with a much nicer, cleaner mold. Now, I'm going to attempt to pick this up. Put it in my hand. Okay. So if you look at the mold, let me get my little tool here. What you'll see is you'll see there's some edges that are still kind of attached. And those are just the little remnants from the clay. And so you can either use your finger to kind of rub those little edges down. You can use a toothpick if you need to get in between, like a leaf or a flower petal here. Or I just have this little tool that I got at a local hardware store. And then I just gently kind of rub along those edges so I make sure I have nice clean edges. And you can see my mold beautifully. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. And that's just to give you those nice clean edges. Okay. So it looks like we got nice clean edges now. The next thing I'm going to do, and I think I'm just going to put it on top of here, is I'm going to lay this down and we're going to put some glue on it. And the glue I use is Titebond. Titebond sticks to everything. So this is Quick and Thick multi-surface. So I tend to use that for, I would say 99% of my projects with clay. I'm just taking an artist brush, nothing fancy. You can use your finger to spread the glue. You can use a brush. You want to lay a good coat on here. Good coat. Okay. And you want to make sure that we get it all the way out to the edge on your clay piece. So just use your finger or brush it out to the edge All good there? If you've just joined us, please say hello. Let us know you're here. It's so good to see all our friends here today. And if you get a chance, if you could share us out to all your friends who might be interested in things like this, I would be greatly appreciated so we can grow our wonderful community here. And we can have others come join in our fun. So spread this glue all the way out. So we've already had some customers that are going to be partaking in the festivities down here for casino night, and it sounds like it's just going to be a blast down here. So I'm really excited that we've got some events going on down here at the Town Square Mall, and some great things that are going on. All right. So, I've now got that all the way out to the edge of my sunflower. So, there's that. And we're going to take our pot, wherever you want to put your sunflower or wherever you want to put your design, you just pick your spot and let's see if I could do it this way. Okay, you're going to pick your spot, and then we're going to flip this over. This is where it gets interesting. I got to flip this. Ready? Okay. Now, I've got my sunflower on there. If I don't like the way it looks, now is my opportunity to kind of move it around. I'm not pressing hard so the mold still stays the sunflower. I'm just kind of gently helping it turn so I can put it in a position that I would like it to be in on the pot. And we're going to turn it a little bit more. And if it gets stuck, you can just pull it right back off and put it back down again. Not a big deal. Easy peasy. We're just going to turn it a little bit more, maybe. I just got to kind of help it along. All right. I think we're good now. We're in a good place. Okay. So, all right. Now, with clay pots, and when you're putting clay on top, you see this lip? You have to make sure that you have a good seal with your clay and the glue. So you want to make sure you take your finger or a brush and you want to push gently in that crease so that there's no air gap there. So you want to make sure you got a good seal on that. And then you just go around and lightly press down on each of the edges. Now the glue, the Titebond glue does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. And so then you just gently press it down. But if you wanted to, you could clean up your glue edges by just using a paintbrush and just removing the glue, so you don't have a lot of glue there. Easy peasy. And so you just want to gently keep gently pushing it down. So now that you have your sunflower on your pot. Just like that. All right, so there's our sunflower. Now I went ahead and did another sunflower so we kind of keep moving forward. You can, at this point, go ahead and you can go ahead and paint your sunflower. It's not dry, but you can gently paint it if you want to paint it while it's still wet. That's perfectly fine. Typically what I do is I wait about 24 hours until it's dry. That way I can really get a good feel of what the end state looks like after the clay is dried. So we're going to put this one aside, let it dry. And I have another one that I've done. Yes, I am, Kay. I will be here from 10 to 5. Sundays are 10 to 5. I will be here. Probably making more clay pots, Kay. So, anyway, so this one is dried. And if you notice, there's cracking. So air dry clay will crack on occasion. It kind of helps give it that vintagey kind of look. I can either leave my cracks or I could fill this. And there's a couple of ways you could fill the crack. You can either take more air dry clay, fill in the crack, or you can put some, like, I think it's like plaster of Paris or something like that. You can put a little of that in there. I'm leaving this crack on this one. I tend to like the cracking, so I'm just going to leave it just like it is. So we can take our chalk paint, and this is the color Lemonade, and we can paint our sunflower. And get another artist brush out. So nothing too fancy about this, just painting a sunflower. Now I'm going to leave the center because I actually have an antique gold that I'm going to use for the center as the brown. So that is going to be my center colors, antique gold. I'll just give this a good quick paint. Oops, got a little bit on it. That's okay. I can clean that up with a paintbrush. No worries. Everything can always be fixed. Everything. So, once we get this painted, the very last step to this pot then is going to be to seal it. And since I might be using this as an outdoor pot, I will seal it with an outdoor sealer. So that way we can make sure our chalk paint don't run and our mold doesn't get droopy. We don't want droopy sunflowers. That wouldn't be pretty either. So we will give it a good seal and then we'll be done. You can see where I got a little messy with the paint. It's okay though. It's all good. Now, I do have our project for next Saturday to show you, and I think it's going to be a little fun project. I did get our surface that I'll be using from one of our local secondhand stores or vintage stores. And so if you want to join along, I think you'll be able to find the item pretty easy to be able to join along. Okay. All right. Oh, I just put a little yellow on there. No worries. Not a big deal. Okay. Let me clean this edge up really fast so we can have a little bit of a clean edge on here. Well, maybe I thought it was going to be pretty fast. Come on. Okay. All right. Looks good. Okay. So I'm excited to show you what we're going to do next Saturday. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Fun. Okay. So the antique gold I use, I mean, I've had it for quite a long time. I think I got it off of Amazon. Let me show you the bottle. It's called True Gold. And I just haven't found another color of gold that gives me the antique look that I was looking for. And so we're just going to paint the center real quick with this color. And as you can see, my bottle is well used there. It's been well loved. Well loved. I hope I get to see you tomorrow, Kay, and see some of the things you're working on. It's always fun to see everything you're working on. And now the other thing I'm going to do with this gold, I'll show you in just a second, is we're going to do a light brushing on the actual sunflower petals to kind of give us a little bit, to me it's kind of bright for me, and so I kind of want to bring that tone of yellow down just a bit. And so I am going to brush on some of this antique gold. And the technique I use for that, besides getting it all over my hand and brush here, is pretty simple. So I just get a little bit on my, oh my goodness, that was a lot. I get a lot on my brush and then wipe it off. Yay! And then literally I wipe off quite a bit of my brush. And I am just kind of dry brushing it onto my sunflower. Now, some of my sunflower is not completely dry, so it's kind of getting a little bit milky on me, but that's okay, we're going to fix it. So you just kind of lightly brush it on, and when it dries, it's a little bit lighter. So you still see the yellow coming through underneath, but this just gives another dimension to your sunflower. So just kind of lightly dry brush it on. There. And this will look like it took you hours to do, and it's so simple. So simple. All right, there you go. So let me show that. Hopefully you can see that. Super, super easy. We put some yellow on, some gold. Now we have a beautiful sunflower on our pot. Let me just hit it with the hot air real quick, the heat tool, and then we'll do a final coat on it to seal it. And then you guys can tell me what you think. Now, one of the other things I did do on another pot after I put the sunflower on it is I did do a light whitewash. And what I did for the light whitewash is I just literally had a little bit of white paint, thinned it down really thin, and then just brushed it right over top. And so it gave it kind of a whitewashed look. There we go. And so that was a different, gives it a different look. So you can do so many different things with just a few of these supplies. 2 or 3 different colors of chalk paint, 1 mold, a spray mister bottle, and a coat to seal it if you're going to use it outdoors. And you can make so many different types of pots, all from just those products together. So many, many different options. That's what's so great about these. You can do so many different things. So many. Let me get one of my bigger brushes. Let's go with the mini again. Oops. Now, like I said, you can use a spray sealer on this. It would be just fine. No worries there. Okay. I have already sealed the inside of this pot, so now we're just going to put a quick seal on the outside. Quick seal on the outside, and we're done on this one. And then we're going to put a quick transfer on the other one. Now the transfer won't need a seal on it. So once we put the transfer on, that one is all finished. So there we go. We have a sunflower clay pot, and it's sealed, and we can use it outdoors. Now, here's our other one that was drying, and I got a little bubble there, so let me fix that bubble. Okay, let's put a transfer on, and the transfer sheets that I'm using today are from our POTS transfer packet. This is Iron Orchid Design, and I went through, it was another hard decision because there's so many great transfers in here for pots. So if you remember from last week, these had black ones that you can transfer, there's some blue ones you can transfer, and then there's some white ones as well. I went ahead and chose a white one for the gray pot because I think it just stands out so well on the gray. And now that our pot is dry, all you have to do is cut out your transfer, peel it from the plastic sheet or the paper sheet, lay the transfer, preferably right side up, that always works best. Lay the transfer down right onto your pot. Line it up where you want it. And then once you've got it down and you think this is good, just gently press it down onto your pot. That's all you have to do. Gently press it down onto your pot. Okay? Once you've done that, you take your magic tool, which I have in my pocket. Hi, welcome. If you've just joined us, say hello. We would love to hear that you're here. And come on in. All right. Take your fancy tool here. Rub it on your transfer paper, plastic here. Just rub it all down. My clay pot's probably in the way there, sorry. Just rub, rub, rub. And once you've given it a good rub, you can start peeling the plastic back. And if you notice that it's sticking a little bit to the plastic, like it is right there and right there, we just put it right back down in the same spot and rub a little bit more. And here we go. Oh, we're almost there. It's so easy. It's just super, super easy. And then once this is down, you don't have to seal it with anything else. It's on there. It's not going anywhere. That's what's the great thing about this. Transfers is they are there. Sometimes the edges you just got to go over really good again and get those. Voila! Use the same plastic sheet that you had and just rub that down again. Give it a good rub so you make sure all the edges are down. Voila! You now have yourself another beautiful pot. You can distress the transfers as well if you wanted to. You can use a sanding block, and I would say a very fine sander. You can run that across it very lightly to distress if you want to distress edges or anything like that. You can also run a really thin coat of whitewash over it if you wanted it to look like it was more more vintage, I guess. But yeah, so there you go. You've got two pots now. We have our sunflower pot and our transfer pot. So that was exciting. Now, we did get in the store today, which I'm really excited about. This is called the Luxberry Half Sphere. And so if you wanted to keep your pot indoors, you could potentially get one of these, set it right on top of your pot, and now you look like you have a full potted plant. So there's an option for that. That's the Luxberry. And then we also got in the shop the Garden Bliss Half Sphere. So you could put that one in your pot as well. If you wanted to have a nice potted plant inside. So that's a couple options you can do with that. And let me show you, I have a potted plant in one of them. The pots, let me show you that real quick. So, this particular pot, I actually did with plaster of Paris first to give it even more texture. So I put plaster of Paris down, and then I went in with my paint colors and blended and sealed it inside and out and used a transfer. So many great options there. So that's it for the clay pots. I hope you guys like the clay pots. Any questions or anything on blending or any of that? Thank you, Kay. Thank you. I know, these are just so cute, aren't they? These are so great because you can just set it on any pot. And it just looks like you got a full plant. Super, super cool, super cute. Pretty excited about those. So we have those. So, I know you're all anxiously awaiting what we're going to do next Saturday, right? Well, let me show you. First, let me grab a drink of Diet Coke. Next Saturday's project. Every time I go to the thrift store, I always see rolling pins. Lots of rolling pins. And you can usually get the rolling pins for like $1, maybe $2. So this is one of the bigger ones. And I went ahead and did a project. And this is what we're going to do next Saturday. And here it is. Let me fix it so you can actually see what it says. There you go. So I took the rolling pin, painted it with chalk paint, stamped on it with one of our stamp sets, so it says Be Happy, created a little shabby chic bow, did a mold air dried clay bee, and waxed it with gold. And then now I've got this cute little rolling pin. I can set in my kitchen, I could set it on a shelf, anything I wanted to do with it. So we're going to turn this rolling pin into this, maybe, if you can see it, next Saturday. So if you want to join along, get yourself a rolling pin, some paints, and you can come visit me for stamps. These are just scrap pieces of ribbon. Any ribbon you have laying around will work. And we'll work on this for next Saturday. All right. Gosh, friends, I really enjoyed having you here today. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to every Saturdays at 4 o'clock now as a fun time of crafting, making, painting, all sorts of things together. So I really appreciate y'all joining me. Just a little reminder, if you could share me out to your friends or your family who might enjoy seeing us so we can build our community, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I will see you all for sure next Saturday, and we will make our Be Happy rolling pins. So, exciting, exciting. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Kay. If you can come by and say hello, that would be awesome. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks for joining me. Again, if you're watching the replay, make sure you've typed in pound replay. All right, see y'all next Saturday. Take care. Bye-bye.